Good morning, and thank you very much for coming. Teachers are always learning. They learn from their students. They learn from their own trial and error. They learn from their mentors. They learn from their colleagues and peers. So good teachers continue to learn throughout their careers. The one tool that helps teachers develop professionally is called reflective teaching practice. Reflective teaching means teachers think about what happens in the class, both in terms of the teaching itself and the learner response, and then try to improve it. So this is called reflective teaching practice. It's beneficial for both pre-service and in-service teachers. You can educate me, and you can train me, but you can't develop me. A teacher can educate me, a mentor can educate me, a supervisor can train me, but they can't develop me. I develop myself. This presentation consists of different parts. For example, what is reflective thinking? What is reflective teaching? Rationale, procedure, process of reflective thinking, and then conclusion. No doubt that teaching is a stressful profession. We as teachers feel as if we have the weight of the world upon our shoulders. And it's true. There are many things that we have to consider. We need to deliver a great lesson. And for that, lesson planning, classroom management, and security, student level, student culture, teaching style, philosophy, expectations, school policy, a lot of things are there that I have to consider. So, I have no time to reflect on my own teaching. I think this is not the right idea. We need to reflect upon our teaching every now and then. What is reflection and how do we reflect? I have got a problem with this. Read this in groups of threes, and then there is a question in the story. You need to answer that question. So what are you going to do now? Number one, read the story, and number two, find out the answer to the question given in the story. Are you going to work alone or in groups? Groups of threes. 3 minutes for this, please.
Sorry.
I have another idea of reflection. This is another example, and after that, I explain how do we reflect. Once again, there is another problem. Four friends have a study, but there is a garden plot in the shape shown. They want to divide it into four individual gardens, the same shape and size. Help them solve this dilemma. Once again, work in groups of threes and solve this problem.
Complete the figure. I achieved. Finish.
Here, guys.
Thank you.
He wants to what?
1, 2, 3.
Finish.
Like a nice dude.
Don't think though.
This is the answer. Okay. Now my question is, when you went through these two problems, how did you reflect on them? This is what we say the reflective cycle. First of all, you identify a problem. This problem can be an event, can be a past experience that you need to reflect on. It needs a context. Then, this is the actual problem. Then, the problem framing, reframing. How? You observe, you reflect, you gather the data, then you see the model judgments, schema, and the context. And this is actually what we say reflection. Then you think about the possible solutions. That is solution. How? You think about the solutions. You make experiments based on the observation and the judgment. And this is action. Now you evaluate your action again and again. You observe, you make judgments, you evaluate. And on the basis of this evaluation, you decide whether to reject it or to accept it. If you accept it, it becomes your schema. This is how we reflect. Reflective teaching is looking at what you do in the classroom, thinking about why you do it, and finding out if it works. It's a process of self-observation and self-evaluation. By collecting information about what goes on in our classroom, and by analyzing and evaluating this information, we identify and explore our own practices and underlying beliefs. This may then lead to changes and improvements in our teaching. So, reflective teaching is therefore a means of professional development which begins in our classroom. Four ways it can be beneficial. Helps free the teachers from impulse and routine behavior. It allows teachers to act in a deliberate, intentional manner and avoid the I don't know what I will do today syndrome. It distinguishes teachers as educated human beings since it is one of the signs of intelligent action. As teachers gain experience in a community of professional educators, they feel the need to grow beyond the initial stages of survival in the classroom to reconstructing their own particular theory from their practice. Procedure. The teacher teaches, observes lessons, or recalls past experiences. Then he reflects alone or in discussion with others. including the students sometimes, in order to work out theories about teaching. Then he tries these out again and again in practice. Such a cycle aims for continuous improvement and the development of personal theories of action. There are several ways to gather information for such reflection, among which TPRS are important. T means teacher diaries, peer observation, recording lessons, and student feedback. This is what we say TPRS. Teacher diaries, peer observation, recording lessons, and student feedback. Teacher diaries. Diaries help teachers identify aspects of their teaching where they need to make improvements, such as, I need to learn to manage time better. That is one problem I see. Everything needs to be planned in order to go smoothly. And I need to find alternative ways to grab students' attention. Diaries provide an account of what actually happens in the classroom. Diaries record not only events and details, but also feelings in a candid but confidential way. A teaching diary is to help you reflect on what happens in your classroom. You could write it every day about each of your classes, or just about one group you have taught each week. Here are a few general guidelines. Number one, how did you feel in terms of motivation and energy during the week? Can you relate any highs and lows to specific events? Did the lessons keep to the lesson plans and the overall timetable? If not, why not? Which was the most successful or the least successful lesson of the week, and why? What was your personal aim for the week, and did you achieve it? What are your personal aims for the coming week? Looking back in your diary over the last 2 weeks, are there any trends coming through? Peer observation. It's the observation of teachers by teachers, usually, though not always, on a reciprocal basis. These pairings may be mentor or novice, or experienced teacher with another experienced teacher. In the first case, the focus will be more clearly on helping the novice to help their teaching skills both by observing and being observed by an experienced colleague. In the second case, the objective is to provide opportunities for experienced teachers to reflect on their teaching in a calm and private environment. Now, when you go for peer observation, you will have to choose your partner carefully. As far as possible, pairs should have the freedom to choose their own partners. Clearly, if there is trust and respect on both sides, the outcome is likely to be more useful for both participants. Agreeing the format of the observation. Both parties should agree on the focus for the observation in advance. The observed teacher may request feedback on a specific area of their teaching, which they are finding particularly challenging, or which they would value input on from a trusted colleague. The institution may have identified an area of focus for peer observation. For example, the introduction of a new curriculum area, or a specific area which external quality control mechanisms have revealed as needing attention. For example, error correction, the teaching of pronunciation, or learner training. Background. The observer will need to be informed in advance by the observed teacher about the students in the class, the content of the lesson, and how the lesson fits into the overall structure of the course. Normally, the observer will play no active role in the lesson itself, unless an element of team teaching is agreed in advance. The observer will keep notes on the observation to refer to during the feedback, and then the follow-up. The observer and the observed should meet soon after the observation. The focus should be on identifying the strengths of the teaching observed, as well as the sharing of practical ideas as to how the teaching might be improved. Care needs to be taken to focus only on areas agreed in advance. Where two experienced teachers are involved, they should take the opportunity to reflect on the underlying rationale of their teaching, rather than more superficial issues of procedure or technique. Both parties need to be sure that their post-observation discussion and any notes on observation will remain confidential. Recording your lessons. Video and audio recordings of lessons can provide very useful information for reflection. You may do things in class you are not aware of, or there may be things happening in the class that as a teacher you do not normally see. So audio recordings can be useful for considering aspects of teacher talk. How much do you talk? What do you talk about? Are instructions and explanations clear? How much time do you allocate to student talk? How do you respond to student talk? Video recordings can be useful in showing you aspects of your own behavior. Where do you stand? Who do you speak to? And how do you come across your students? Getting students' feedback. First of all, develop metacognitive awareness. Understanding of our own learning process is an essential skill for a learner and underline the need for them to be active participants in the learning process. Some ideas for getting student feedback: find out about how your students like to learn. Give them a questionnaire to find out what they think is most useful. Can be reading, writing, speaking, listening, learning grammar, or learning vocabulary. How they like to work, individually, in groups, or in pairs. Activities they enjoy, using the course book, playing games, listening to tapes, etc. At the end of each lesson or a block of work, get the students to complete a summary of the lesson under these headings. Number 1, what we did today, what I liked most or least, what I want to do next, what did you learn in this lesson, and which part did you find most useful. How confident do you feel in using what you learned? How would you like to do, what would you like to do more of? And if you are working with relatively small groups, individual counseling can be very valuable. Give the students some questions to think about before they meet with you. For example, which parts of the course have you found most useful? Which activities do you prefer? And what do you feel you need to do most in order to improve your English? Reflective teaching is a cyclical process. TTRA. Think, talk, read, ask. But you have some information recorded about what goes on in your classroom. What do? You think. You may have noticed patterns occurring in your teaching through your observation. You may also have noticed things that you were previously unaware of. You may have been surprised by some of your students' feedback. You may already have ideas or changes to implement. Now, after thinking, you talk. Just by talking about what you have discovered to a supportive colleague or even a friend, you may be able to come up with some ideas for how to do things differently. If you have colleagues who also wish to develop their teaching using reflection as a tool, you can meet them to discuss issues. Discussion can be based around scenarios from your own classes. Using a list of statements about teaching beliefs, for example, pair work is valuable activity in the language course, or Lexis is more important than grammar. You can discuss which ones you agree or disagree with, and which ones you reflected in your own teaching, giving evidence from your self-observation. Then you can read. You may decide that you need to find out more about a certain area. There are plenty of websites for teachers of English now where you can find useful teaching ideas or more academic articles. There are also magazines for teachers where you can find articles on a wide range of topics. Or if you have access to a library or bookshop, there are plenty of books for English language teachers. Then you can ask. Pose questions to websites or magazines to get ideas from other teachers. Or if you have a local teachers association or other opportunities for in-service training, ask for a session on an area that interests you. So by reflecting, you avoid cutting the slice of the roast. This is an interesting story. One day, a young girl was watching her mother cooking a roast of beef. Just before the mother put the roast in the pot, she cut a slice off the end. The ever-observant daughter asked her mother why she had done that, and the mother responded that her grandmother had always done it. Later that same afternoon, the mother herself was curious. So, she called her mother and asked her the same question. Her mother, the child's grandmother, said that in her days she had to train the rows because they were usually too big for the regular pot she had at home. So, doing things without reflection, without thinking. Teaching without any reflection can lead to cutting the slice off the roast and can also lead to burnout on the job. One way of identifying routine and of counteracting burnout is to engage in reflective teaching. I think only the reflective teachers turn into a reflecting professional. The reflective teachers turn into a reflecting professional. Let us now reflect on understanding learners. How do students learn? We need to reflect on these important issues. Exploring teaching. Shall I teach? Academic preparation. What shall I teach? Organizing teaching. How shall I teach? To sum up, reflective teaching is a cyclical process because once you start to implement changes, then the reflective and evaluative cycle begins again. We can think about what are we doing, why are we doing it, how effective is it, how are the students responding, how can you do it better. As a result of your reflection, you may decide to do something in a different way. Or you may just decide that what you are doing is the best